Hi, so today we are going to get into the coaching wellness side of things. It's the weekend, and I am going to look at how to decide and the psychology behind making decisions and a little bit about how our brain works and some information about how I decided to change my life and what worked for me. And so hopefully you find this valuable. If you like this kind of content, please make a comment down below, like, subscribe, share with somebody that you think this will help, and let's get to it. Okay, I'm excited about this topic because I am just fascinated by human psychology and discovering the truth about how our brain works and how to create our lives. So I am a big believer in this life is ours to design, and that we have a lot to do with the outcomes of our own lives. And our outcomes and our results are based off of these little micro habits that we create. And it's not always easy getting to a place where we're ready to plan and we're ready to create. And I am an artist at heart. I love to paint. I love art. I love music. I've tried playing music on occasions. I'm not the greatest, but I certainly appreciate it and appreciate people that do. And we are creative beings. And I think that one of the areas that people neglect in their life is creation and art around designing their own lives. It seems as though most people want to live on a whim. They don't want to plan their entire life. They are victims to circumstance. They are victims to the cards they were dealt in life. And it's not to say that some circumstances make creation more difficult and others make it more easy. It's about taking our power back and focusing on what we can control. So when we sit down at this blank canvas of life, it's hard to know what to paint. You have to ask yourself what you want your results to be and reverse engineer and try to imagine what a person would do and what you would do if you had the result you want. What would your ideal day look like? What would your day look like if you were living the life you want to live? If you were being the person you wanted to be, what would that new version of you be doing every day? And there's going to be a transition period, an awkward period where you're trying to be the new version of you, but you don't have the results of the new version of you yet. So there's a lot of acceptance and patience and compassion and love that you need to give yourself, and patience and perseverance and self-reflection. So let's start with making the decision. So making a decision to change. So there's decision fatigue, there's procrastination, there's reservations, there's weighing benefits and negatives, there's rationalization, and there's engagement. So I have a link in here from another presentation, so that's totally not related. That's funny. So decision fatigue is when we're lacking action and we are simply looking at all of our options and have indecision. So oftentimes making a decision towards action will be more beneficial than no action at all. So you are failing ahead of time. So if you don't even take action towards your goal, you've already failed. So some of this comes from fear of failure, fear of success. It's usually some sort of fear-based root problem, emotion that you are experiencing. So writing a lot, journaling, trying to connect to what you are afraid of and looking that fear in the face and doing it anyway. So one thing that I have a story for you. I like to tell stories to bring context to what I am trying to convey. At one time, I hated the gym. I still hate the gym sometimes. But then once I'm there, I love it all over again. So I didn't like people that went to the gym. I thought people that went to the gym were snotty and were pretentious and thought they were better than everybody else. And I was embarrassed. I was afraid of not knowing what I was doing. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of looking like an idiot. I was afraid. There was lots of fear, and all of my ideas about people that went to the gym were false ideas. And so I had decided against going to the gym over and over and over again, decided against it. And one day I decided, okay, that's it. I'm going to the gym and I'm signing up. So I walked in, I signed up. I knew once I was paying monthly, I would at least make myself go, because I am a little bit frugal, a little bit of a penny pincher. So once I put, even if it's just $20 a month, I'm going to get the max out of it. So once I joined, I didn't know what to do. So I decided to take a class. And in my mind, a class was to teach me about what to do at the gym, right? And that's not necessarily what gyms mean by classes, but you do learn about different exercises and what to do and what they are. And so it wasn't exactly what I had imagined in my mind, but I decided that I didn't know what to do. So I would take every class offered at the gym 10 times. So I would pick one, and I picked the one that I didn't want to do the most first, which was step. And I did step, and I decided that I wasn't able to decide whether or not I liked it until I took it 10 times, because I know myself, and I knew that if I made a judgment about the class the first time I went, I wasn't giving the class and the instructor the opportunity to prove me wrong. And I wasn't giving my body the chance to adapt and get proficient at that class in one class, right? I knew I was going to suck. I was like, okay, I know the first time it's going to be awful and I just need to get through it. I know the second time might be awful. I know the third time, and I might start getting it at the fourth time, but I know at least by the 10th time, if I really hate it, I will allow myself to never take that class again if I still hate it after 10 times. So, you know what happened after 10 times? I took every class. Now I feel as I could go into any class and enjoy it, find joy in any class, any physical class I went into. I would know I would feel stupid the first time because every class is different and every instructor is a little different, but I would be able to get through it and find some enjoyment in it, regardless of the class, because I've taken so many classes now. Procrastination. So lack of action is just going to breed more procrastination. The more you think about what the right decision is, instead of taking action, the more it's going to breed the procrastination. And again, procrastination comes from fear, fear of the action or the feelings around the actions, and so on. Reservations. Many of us have reservations when we start on a goal. So a lot of this I learned from quitting drinking and doing drugs. When you go into removing that from your life, or smoking, you may have a reservation in the back of your head that if somebody dies, I'm still, that's my reservation. I will continue to not drink until this happens, until I feel a certain way, or until my birthday. You know, if it's a birthday party, then that's my reservation to drink. You hold these reservations in your mind that are contingencies that you place on the goal. So another example might be working out or sticking to your workout plan or your diet plan. You have a reservation around a birthday party, or you have a reservation around uh, vacation, which is fine. I mean, we all need to eat the birthday cake at the party, and we don't need to, but we all would like to be able to eat the birthday cake at the party. But there may be a time where you have to prove to yourself that you don't have to have the birthday cake to have a good time. There may be a time that you have to go to the party and not have the cake. There may be a time that it might be a good idea to go to the party and not have a beer, and prove to yourself that you can still have a good time without the beer. Maybe a good idea to go to the party and not have a cigar. Maybe a good idea to go into the party and not have a cigarette. It may be a good idea to go to the party and be the weirdo with Tupperware. Okay. And I say this not to be weird or dysfunctional. I say this as a confidence builder. I found that when I quit, for example, I have lots of examples of this that I'm thinking about right now, but one very specific one that is burnt into my mind is when I decided to quit smoking. And when I decided to quit smoking, I realized that it was an excuse to take a break from my work. So I would take a break from my work once every 2 hours to have a cigarette, and I would go outside, and I really enjoyed, I was thinking about what I enjoyed about cigarettes, and I enjoyed the ability to go out and take a break and walk around and be outside and listen to the birds and breathe. So I said, okay, you can still do that. You can still go outside and breathe and see everything. But I was afraid that I would want a cigarette. And once I confronted that fear and I said, yes, you're going to want a cigarette, whether you go outside or you stay inside. You might as well reward yourself with going outside. It's better outside. It's better to take a break than not take a break. You're going to suffer either way. So why not just confront the fear and prove to yourself that you can stand outside for 15 minutes and not smoke? So once I had made the decision, it was very important to know when I was ready for this too, because it took lots of practice of quitting. It took lots of confronting reservations. It took lots of internal work to get to the point where I could walk outside and enjoy the break without a cigarette. For a while, the desire was still there. I still had the desire, but I had made a decision. So I had enough willpower to not take the action of smoking. Now, part of my willpower was put on the back seat because I had already made the decision. I didn't have this first line here. I didn't have the decision fatigue because I had already made the decision that I was going to go outside and not have a cigarette. And that was it, period, end of story. So one of the beauties about making a decision is that you don't have to have this exhaustive conversation with yourself about willpower and about gripping with all of your force and white knuckling it. There might be a little bit of white knuckling. Of course, there's always going to be white knuckling when you're quitting something as intense as cigarettes and other substances. But getting to that place where you can decide that you are or you're not going to do something, and having a strong enough why, and working through those fears and knowing what they are, and then confronting those fears one at a time, will give you a stronger foundation and confidence that you can continue down the path. Rationalization. So you have to get past all the rationalization. And this comes into some of the victim mindset. You know, oh, I had a cigarette because my car broke down and I didn't have enough money in my bank account for my bills and I was stressed out. You know, it's just all these, you're blaming all of these external factors in your life for you breaking your promise to yourself and having a cigarette. or what, or not following through and going to the gym, or not, or having the cookie, or not following what you said you were going to do on your calendar. Whatever the thing is, you've now blamed every circumstance around you for an action that you are taking. You have control over your actions. You have control over what comes out of your mouth. You have control over what goes in your mouth. And that is all we control in this world. Your circumstances do not control your behavior. You control your behavior. Just because you had a bad day, you can try to blame Susie for making you mad, but the only person that makes you mad is you. The only person that decides to act out on that anger is you. You may still have the feelings still may rush over, but how you act upon those feelings is up to you. Only you have control over that. And you have to get to a place where you have enough emotional maturity to process those feelings and be able to recognize the thoughts that are associated with those feelings, to confront them and let them happen, and work through them without overreacting or punishing yourself and doing something that sabotages yourself and other people and people around you. Okay. And this is not to say I'm not perfect. This is a practice. Okay. I practice self-control. I practice self-care. I practice mind work. I practice looking at my brain and the thoughts in my brain. I practice self-reflection. I practice lifting weights. I'm never going to be able to perfectly lift a weight. Like it's never going to happen. You can strive your entire life on a movement and never be perfect at it every single time. So you continue to practice. Martial arts is a practice. Yoga is a practice. It's a practice is something you do on a regular basis. You may reach the point of mastery, right? You may get masterful at your craft, but it doesn't mean that you stop practicing your craft if you still find value in it. And believe me, when you stop working at it, you can regress. So I have certainly regressed on areas that I haven't focused on and haven't spent time and work and journaled about and thought about and worked on. So what are you going to make a decision about? Are you going to make a decision about losing weight? Are you going to make a decision about going to the gym? And this is just kind of some notes I made, and I pretty much talked about them already on the previous slide, where put a number on the number of tries you're going to do. I'm going to try following this diet for 30 days, right? Because you have to give diets, and remember, a diet is just a way of eating. It's just a practice of a way of eating, right? A diet doesn't necessarily mean you're in a calorie deficit. It just means what you're putting in your body, right? It can include calorie deficits or caloric intakes and fats and macros and all that stuff. But I mean, in an aggregate sense, in a collective sense, like what a diet is, and what I mean when I say diet is, you might say, oh, I'm going to try this whole foods diet for 30 days and see how I feel and see if it works for me. I'm going to try this vegan diet for 30 days and see if it works for me, see if I feel better. Take what you like and leave the rest, and then adjust it for the next 30 days, right? I remember I went in there and I said, I'm going to try every machine. I don't know about these machines at the gym, so I'm going to look at the picture. I'm going to be the idiots. I still stare at, there's new equipment in every gym, and some of them are different, and I still look at the picture. I'm still like, wait, where do you sit on this thing? So it's okay to look at the instructions and have questions and not really know where to sit or how to adjust it. Every machine has a different adjustment. So you learn that by trying. So you have to get out there and you have to give yourself a goal. I'm going to go in the gym this week and I'm going to try one new machine every time I go to the gym, right? And that might be it. You could just go to the gym and try a new machine and That's it. That's your workout. That's better than nothing. You might go to the gym and try one new cardio machine for 5 minutes. I mean, starting with 5 minutes, I mean, that's better, again, better than nothing, right? One new class, try it 10 times before you allow yourself to make a judgment, especially with the critical mind. When you're really negative, you have got a lot of negative thoughts around a practice and you want to do it, but you still have all this negative baggage around it, making sure that you give yourself enough runway, enough on-ramp to find the positives in it. Because when you first try it and you feel embarrassed and all these negative emotions come up your first couple of times doing it, you feel like an idiot, you got all this negative self-talk. You want to try to give yourself enough time to find the positive and then really hone in on that positive. Okay, so we've got left brain and right brain, right? So we've got our left brain that's helping us make decisions, and we've got our right brain. Some people refer to this as logic, a logical way to make a decision, and then an intuitive way to make a decision, or an emotional decision. Both are important, right? I believe in the power of doing both, tying both together as equally as you can. Okay, so you don't want to totally be left brain where you're completely logical, in my opinion, and just look at the numbers and not at all consider any of the concerns of the right brain, right? Because there will be possible social consequences to your new identity and your new way of being, or your new practice, whatever you're trying to adopt. There may be emotional repercussions that you may be ignoring, right? So if you're totally left brain and you're just following an arbitrary plan and focusing on the numbers, that's great. I see a lot of people that do this and do this very well. But if you're not addressing the root cause, which is often tied to emotion and maybe some trauma that we experienced in our past, or some negative programming that we have cluttered up in our brain somewhere, we may turn that action into a dysfunctional practice. It may become destructive in some way. If you focus, like for example, if you focus too much on the numbers, you may become anorexic, or you may become what is that? I forget what the term is, where you work out so much that if you slip and you have a donut, then you're going to go and you look up, oh, the donut is 250 calories, so I'm going to go get on the treadmill for 250, until it tells me I've burned 250 calories to wipe out that donut because I slipped up on my self-control. So it can get so, if you go too right-brained into it, you can get so regimented and obsessive on the numbers that it starts to cover up some of the emotions that may be causing you to take the actions in the first place. You're not really getting to the root cause of your issues if you're not using your right brain as well. So in my opinion, doing both and looking at both and trying to make the decision on what to do, and knowing yourself, knowing what tricks and quirks and things you like that your right brain is going to know about, and then also talking to your left brain and figuring out what's going to drive you to the results and how often you're going to have to do it, right? So a lot of times the left brain helps with that. You know that 3,500 calories is, or some studies show that some people it may be 4,500 depending on their metabolism. You have to divide that up over 7, so about 500 calorie deficit a day equals a 3,500 calorie deficit per week. That's a pound of fat a week, right? So then you can use your left brain to figure out, okay, I can give myself, if I want to use 20 pounds, I need to give myself at least 20 weeks to reach my goal, to be realistic, and then, the right brain, you can think up creative solutions on how to get that 500 calories off and do it in an emotionally respectful way, and so on. So there's just some beautiful imagery about the left and the right, the male and the female. So one of the things about the left and right is the masculine side of the brain is associated with the left, right? It's the very logical, the math and science driven, the analytical, the logical, the reasoning side. And then the feminine is often tied to the right, which is the creative, intuitive, emotional, facial recognition, socially intelligent side. So finding a way to marry the two in a healthy way is going to give you the most holistic wellness that you can get. So I think I'm going to save the rest of this for tomorrow. I'm going to take a break here. Most people don't like super long form videos, so I'm going to split this one up before it gets too much further. And if you could please like and subscribe to the video. I'm going to upload the rest of this thing tomorrow on Sunday. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me. And hopefully you found value in this. If you have any questions, I've got some links down below so you can contact me, sign up to work with me one-on-one. And I can get you some suggestions for a meal menu and so on. So again, please like and subscribe, share it with somebody that you think would find this information valuable. And I look forward to seeing you next time.